Weekend review, August 21st, 2023. Gonna kick it off with comments and then dive into a couple points, but mainly anchor off of comments for this week. At coach_sewer_moose. Glad you're programming main site workouts. I'm looking forward to test the run muscle up couplet since I finally got ring muscle ups after 11 years of doing CrossFit. Side note, kudos to Dress Estrada and Sam Burns for the valuable coaching they provided at the CrossFit gymnastics course back in July. Everyone should take a CrossFit specialty course. That's what he said. But I agree, everyone should take a CrossFit specialty course. So if you're interested in improving your movements in weightlifting, in gymnastics, or in running, check out one of our specialty courses, and you'll definitely learn a lot, even if you're just a participant or a coach or whatever you do with CrossFit, or you're just interested in movement in general. Check out these courses. The ring muscle up one was fun. I had done something like that a few months ago, and with 2 reps, so 10 rounds, run 200, 2 ring muscle ups, and I was able at the time, I'd been training to do that one unbroken. This time, I did the first round unbroken. I have not been training as much because the games kind of really messed up my routine. So I did the first round unbroken, and then there was no way I was going to do more rounds unbroken. So I just went fast singles for the rest of the rest of it. And what's really cool, since we'll retest it in 2 weeks, I will try to maybe do a few more sets unbroken. And since at that point I'll have been a little more consistent, maybe I'll be better prepared to tackle them in an unbroken with an unbroken approach. At Dave Pitt 313, do you have a list of movements or skills that won't appear in the games after being an issue? Would you ever post it? Why aren't sled pushes on the list? So I think there's a list of things that I would tend to stay away from in programming the games or any event. Is there a list? There's not a formal list. Are there some things that after 15, 16 years of having done this that I know probably shouldn't be in there? For sure. I think it would just have to be, it's more of like a case by case. And are there moments where maybe pushing the limit and trying something out makes sense? I think, or pushing not the limits, but pushing ourselves and the athletes, and taking something from that list, maybe. So to answer your question, there's not a list. It's more just like, oh no, that didn't work, or maybe we shouldn't do something like that again. Whatever, post it, no. Why aren't sled pushes on the list? So sled pushes are super controversial. For the most part, I think it's way blown out of proportion. I think they're fine to do if the environment is set to have a good, fair test. And what I mean by that is, so there's been years where we've done sled pushes on grass, and sections of the grass have been dead, and sections of the grass was watered and fine. And so there you did see some noticeable differences in the sled pushing. If you're on turf, if the turf is in the shade and not in the shade, I think that is a potential issue you want to try to avoid. If one section of the turf has been watered and another section has not been watered, that's also something you want to try to avoid. So it's okay to use a sled. You just have to take a look at all these other aspects to make sure it's fair for everyone. Also, understanding the surface of the sled, that's all consistent. So I have no issue keeping sleds in the competitions, but it's definitely something that people are really fired up about, and it's also something that we take seriously and we're looking at to make sure that it's completely fair. We're not trying to make any of this unfair for any of the competitors. We want it to be fair across the field. At B Keller 2444, can Rich Froning be a guest for programming main site? That'd get a lot of people interested. Yeah, he'll probably end up being a guest at some point. not in the next few rotations, but he will end up being on main site if he wants to do it. I don't know if he'll even want to do it, but we will ask him at a minimum. At Beach House CrossFit, gotta know about your friendship with Post Malone. So that's kind of a longer story. I'll give you a quick, short version of it. We met several years ago through a mutual friend. The friend was in the motorcycle industry, Grant, and he had connected with Post Malone, and he knew. And at this time, yeah, he was still big, but he wasn't. He was big then. So this was several years ago, and he said, "Hey, would like to introduce you to Post Malone. You guys have a lot of the same interests. Post Malone is really big into firearms and shooting. Obviously, I am." And he was going to be in San Diego for a concert, so we linked up. I set up a visit and a tour of the SEAL compound. We gave him a tour with the SEALs there and showed him the compound. It was really cool. And then after that, we went and hung out in Coronado and hung out at some bars and hung out in San Diego. And we had a really good time, spent the entire afternoon into the evening hanging out. And then from there, we just stayed in contact, and I've been to a number of his concerts and hung out with him on a number of occasions. And through COVID, kind of lost touch and just saw him again for the first time in San Jose. So it'd been a number of years, and it was great to reconnect. It was cool hanging out with him. He's a really good dude. He has a really big heart. When we were in San Diego hanging out, we were hanging out in this little dive bar, and within like 10 minutes, someone recognized him from the streets, a kid, saw him in the bar, tweeted something, and then like the entire bar was jam-packed with adults, and outside there was kids everywhere waiting for him. And everyone he ran into, he was super gracious and would take photos and talk to people, and he's really genuinely a good dude. So it's cool to see someone so famous and so big who really cares about his fans and cares about his friends and family. So huge fan of him. And actually what's funny is I remember years ago before I met him, I was driving in SoCal, I was listening to XM, Hip Hop Nation, I guess, and I heard this song and I was like, damn, that song's pretty cool. I wonder who this guy is. And the song was White Iverson. And then I Googled it when I got home and saw that it was Post Malone, I'd never heard of him at that point, watched the music video for White Iverson, and that was such a great song. It sounded different, and it sounded really unique, and actually saw him in that video with the cornrows, and I was like, hey, this is a good idea. I think I'm gonna do cornrows at the games. And so that year, or maybe it was the following year, but there was a year where I did cornrows at the games, and his White Iverson video was kind of some motivation and inspiration to do that. At Jason Grubb, Dave, it was strongly expressed in the press pass agreement with content creators that live streams were not allowed in any way. Were content creators notified that this rule would be allowed to be broken for the age group and adaptive divisions? So content creators, maybe I was wrong last week when I said that they could have, so I think he's responding to, I made a statement, yeah, if they wanted to, they could have. I think what he's talking about, I think what you're talking about is with the mass media approved, or the mass media credential. We also had the credential for the Sevons and the Buttery Bros and those guys. I don't know if theirs was different in regard to that language. So I guess I was wrong in stating that they could have streamed it if they wanted, or I think I might have said they could have covered it. Regardless, that that rule was never conveyed that it could be, to answer your question, that rule was never conveyed that it could be broken for age group and adaptive divisions. But maybe we should have allowed, if you had a content creator. Jason Grubb, for those who don't know, he won one of the divisions. He's won a number of years. He's a masters athlete who's really good. Maybe we should have allowed that. That probably would have been a good idea to handle some of the lack of coverage that we had there. Next comment, at Lapel Corey, I enjoyed the muscle up 200 meter run. Felt we haven't trained muscle ups frequently enough recently to improve. Glad to test them again at the end of this programming cycle. I'm super excited about retesting that one, as I talked about earlier in this programming cycle. And that concept of retesting stuff on short intervals, as I've mentioned in a few places, I think is underutilized and underexpressed. So trying to promote that notion of retesting on a short time frame basis is totally okay. At Demothesis, to me, main site programming held a mythical quality that is shattered by rotating programmers. I get that it hasn't been relevant in years, though. Well, I don't think the mythical quality is shattered by rotating programmers. I think it actually might increase that in terms of pretty cool. That think of what other programming outlet or programming location in the ecosystem has rotating programmers like we're going to do. I guess you could say Morning Chalk Up for a while had rotating guest programmers. One workout though, I think it was like a Friday workout they were doing. This is very different. This is ongoing programming. And so yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it hasn't been relevant in years. I would say that the main site and the nature of that has kind of lost some steam. Especially in the early days, it was the anchor for the community because so many people would come to the main site and follow that and comment on the main site. But, honestly, I mean, I was doing this pre-social media, and then once social media came along, pre-social media, that was like the community anchor for CrossFit. After social media, it made it really easy for there to be a lot of disparate communities where people could come and comment and talk about what they're doing, not having to do it on main site. Then eventually, so pre-social media, that kind of diminished main site, and then years after that, all these other people offering programming, that also contributed to kind of the diminishing of the significance of main site. So now just kind of reinvigorating it with this effort, I think is a cool thing to do. Couple other points and then we'll be done with this weekend review. I had a 22 match this weekend at the ranch. I host one of those once a month. 22 rimfire precision rifle, so we shoot out to 300 yards. And took second. I missed the tie by 1 point over Chris Garcia, who's really good. He's like one of the best shooters in Northern California. So I was bummed that I didn't do better to there's a couple mistakes I made, but the thing is, that's the game. He also made some mistakes. Everybody makes some mistakes, but I had an opportunity to beat him. I usually lose to him, but I'll get him one day. So happy about that. And then Craig Howard tweeted something that someone sent me, and Craig Howard is a good friend, and he is a longtime affiliate owner, and he has his own podcast. He lives a couple hours north of us, and he tweeted, "It's time to end the CrossFit Games affiliate team competition. Instead, let's revive the invitational international team format held after the games with teams comprised of the best athletes representing a country or region." I want to ask, why does he think we should end the CrossFit Games affiliate team competition? So you, Craig, if you want to comment here, if you want to have a discussion on your podcast or have a discussion, I don't want to do a long podcast, but if you want to have a discussion about this, I'd be more than willing to do that. But whenever I hear stuff like this, I just really want to understand the why and really want to understand what's behind that statement so I can really think about and process it appropriately. So hope you check this out, Craig, and let me know, and then I could, whatever we talk about, then I could talk about it next week on the weekend review. All right, that's it. Thanks a lot. Comment in the comment section, and maybe I'll answer it next week.